Previously on Avatar.
To summarize, the core story told in the Euphoria film by Raw Flame is that of 8 teenage boys bound by friendship, dreams, and whispered promises in what appears to be the 1980s or 1990s. Then, the world ends. Everything is thrown into chaos, and they're scattered over space and time. Perhaps some divine power has split them apart into separate realities, timelines, or existences. I hypothesize that the members are time travelers. They've been sent on a mission to correct the past by exploring their future, and vice versa. Perhaps they exist in multiple levels and multiple space-time continuums. For instance, there may be a Sangwon in the present day who's reaching out for help using an iPhone at the same time there's a Sangwon in the past who is listening to music on his Walkman. Whatever event of mass destruction caused the world to become desolate must be undone. What this is exactly is unknown, but this EP is the beginning of that righteous mission to save the world and reunite as one.
And we are so back. ALD1 made their first comeback with their prologue single titled No School Tomorrow on May 26th, and thus, we have more content to theorize on. I'm excited to dive into my theory, so I don't want to waste any time, but I just want to quickly shout out at BVivids or Vi on Twitter for helping me with this theory, and for being someone I could theorize with. She was a massive help, and I have taken much inspiration from her theories, such that this video will, at times, be a fusion of our ideas. This video could not be possible without her, and I'm so grateful. She is lovely in all ways, and so please send her much love. Her Twitter will be linked in the description below. To pick up where we left off, let's establish some key ideas that will become important as we delve into the new content for No School Tomorrow. Chronologically, many ALD theorists have concluded that 3 Raw Flame from the Euphoria film by Raw Flame must occur first. This is because what we see happens before the disaster shown in both 1 No Flame and 2 No Frame. What I didn't delve deep into in my previous lore video, but becomes apparent within the context of No School Tomorrow, is that there are 2 timelines occurring simultaneously in the world of ALD1's lore, one in the past and one in the present. However, events mirror each other in the timelines. Both timelines contain 8 high school boys, where they are split up after a world-shattering disaster. Vi and I noted that the type of film footage utilized in each of the sections of the film by Raw Flame differs based on the timeline it is set in. For example, 1 No Frame is filmed using only grainy film, whereas 2 No Frame is filmed using only digicam footage. But 3 Raw Flame uses both. This means that the events that happen in 1 No Flame and 2 No Frame are mutually exclusive, while the clips shown in 3 Raw Flame occur in both timelines. This then begs the question, when did the 2 timelines take place? Is there any way we can identify when these events happened? In my previous lore video, I hypothesized that the past timeline was set in the 1980s or 90s. However, this might not be the case. Reviewing the film by Raw Flame, we see key pieces of evidence that could help us date the events of each section. First, we see Sangwon wearing these headphones. I looked into what model he is wearing, and they are vintage Panasonic headphones, likely the RP-HT60 or a similar model from the late 1990s or early 2000s. They were usually used with portable CD players or MP3 players. Second, we see Sang-hyun using a flip phone, and so I found the exact model he is using. It's the Samsung SGH P930, dated around 2007. In the No School Tomorrow prologue single title sequence teaser, we see that the sudden rainfall, when No School Tomorrow takes place, happens on Tuesday, May 26th, but it doesn't last a year. So, like our current theory suggests, there must be mirroring events in the past and in the present. And No School Tomorrow's events happen on Tuesday, May 26th, but when? I did some research, and according to this chart, you can see that the only year that makes sense, based on the devices Sangwon and Sang-hyun are using, would be 2009. We can assume that the present-day timeline occurs on May 26, 2026. This means that the 2 timelines occur 17 years apart from each other. In the Bible, the number 17 is associated with events like the Great Flood. Interesting. Let's put a pin in that thought. So, coming back to this diagram, I've decided that the past timeline is in 2009, and the present timeline is in 2026. This is further supported by the No School Tomorrow highlight medley. There are 2 details that particularly caught my attention. First, the clock, and second, the washing machines. Let's look at the clock first. As we know, the hands of a normal clock turn clockwise or to the right starting at 12 o'clock. But as you can see here, the hands of the clock are moving counterclockwise or to the left. This most likely indicates that time is moving backwards. And do you notice that the hands of the clock only move when the film is rewinded and Anshin holds the camcorder? This is an odd detail. I want to quickly note that the closest model I could find to the one that Anshin is holding was released in 2008. That fits with our theory that the past timeline is set in 2009. Then there's the washing machines, and one thing I know for certain is that this is no ordinary laundromat. When I first looked at this image, I noticed something that felt a little too coincidental. There are 12 bolts on the doors of the washing machines, and they're distributed equally around the circle rim. Look familiar? It looks like the hour markers on a clock. It was for this reason that my mind immediately connected the image of the clock with that of these washing machines. It also reminded me of the phenomenon of synchronous pendulum clocks. Synchronization, or two or more events happening at the same time, is one of the most common phenomena in nature. Christian Huygens, a Dutch scientist and mathematician, demonstrated the concept of synchronization through an experiment using two pendulum clocks. Huygens was surprised to discover that if he hung two of his pendulum clocks from a common support, a wooden bar supported by two chairs, the devices kept pace relative to each other. The two pendulums always swung at the same frequency, albeit in opposite directions to each other. One pendulum was swinging to the left and the other to the right, and if one were to stop, the other would still swing at the same frequency and pace. We observed this with the washing machines. As soon as one washing machine shuts off, the other begins at the same pace and speed. They are connected. So if we are to use the pendulum clocks as a metaphor for what we are observing with the washing machines and at large the two timelines in the lore, we can assume that there are two timelines synchronized with each other such that events are happening at the same time. There must be a common support or connection between the two that allows for them to be in sync with one another. They are going in opposite directions, one in the past and one in the present, yet we see the same events play out in both. Just like two synchronized washing machines, there are two spin cycles, two clocks, two timelines, keeping time simultaneously. This explains why we see the same exact events play out in both the past and in the present, as well as why we see the same events filmed using two types of footage. The same events are playing out 17 years apart from each other, yet the members are unaware of this fact, or should I say, some of the members. This would also explain why we see post-apocalyptic scenes set in 2009, such as in 1 No Flame, and in 2026, such as in 2 No Frame. Alright, that's a lot of set dressing. Let's look at the OMG music video and see how it expands on this. For the next segment, I will color code the timelines where red indicates the present timeline and blue indicates the past timeline. The MV opens up to a TV playing the local weather channel, stating that the weather for the day will be incredibly unpredictable, such that it might start out sunny, then have a sudden downpour, or even that sunshine and rain could be observed happening simultaneously. Anshin is watching the news while having breakfast, before he's interrupted by a notification on his phone. From this shot, we can see that 1. This must be the present day since Anshin is using a modern cell phone. 2. The members received a notice that school is cancelled. And 3. Sangwon is the first to reach out to Anshin to tell him the news. When Anshin steps out onto the balcony to see his friends, lightning strikes a tree and it falls to the ground. In this shot, we see a black cat, which is commonly perceived as an omen of bad luck or circumstance if they cross your path. So, from the get-go, we know that something bad is coming. The boys start biking, and this is when it suddenly rains. They enter an abandoned shop to escape from the downpour. Note the dispenser machine here and the stickers on the window. Make sure to stick it to memory. It is then when we see a series of match cuts. Sangwon looks at his earphones and sees a spark. This spark is then match cut onto a spark traveling up a television wire and then cut to Anshin standing in front of a wall of TVs with a spark behind him. To me, this signifies Sangwon and Anshin's role in the story. Sangwon is the one who notices, but Anshin is the spark. Remember how Sangwon was the first to let Anshin know that school was cancelled for the day. He seems to be acutely aware that something disastrous is on the way, but may not know what exactly. But he is not the focal character. It's clear that the protagonist of the narrative shown in OMG is Anshin. Perhaps Sangwon is even aware that Anshin is different from the others, but it's unclear how much he truly knows or senses. For Anshin, his abilities are made more apparent in the MV. Notice how Anshin is breaking the fourth wall. This implies that Anshin is hyper aware of his situation in a way that sets him apart from the others. See how the other members are immersed in the scene, while Anshin's focus is on us, the camera. We have seen something like this before with Leo during the hidden cuts. He had let his eyes linger, as if he knew more than he was letting on. In my previous video, I proposed the idea that the ALD1 members are put into pairings. Here's a quick refresher.
Alpha Drive 1.
Alpha Drive 1. Alpha Drive 1.
Alpha Drive 1.
Alpha Drive 1.
Alpha Drive 1.
Alpha Drive 1.
Leo and Anshin were paired, but we never knew if they were paired within the same timeline. The Leo that broke the fourth wall in the hidden cut is from the past. The Anshin we see here is from the present. It is within the OMG music video that we get our first clue as to what Anshin's ability might be. Some things to note are that Anshin is holding a digital camcorder. We see the same camcorder at the beginning of the music video. From what I could gather, this appears to be a relatively recent handheld camera model, grounding the scene most likely in the present timeline. But the TV screens we see behind Anshin are certainly old, unlike the TV in Anshin's condo. And we can see here that footage of the ALD1 members in retro fashion is playing on the screens behind Anshin. Assuming that the camera is Anshin's connection to the other timeline, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that Anshin can see the past, like the moments captured in film and playing behind him on the wall of TVs when using his camcorder. Anshin is aware of the other timeline and has the ability to see snapshots of the past via his camera and capture present moments that can be shared with someone in the past. I would like to predict that this person might be Leo, but there is not enough evidence to back up that claim just yet. Regardless, Anshin is certainly a link between the past and the present. Sangwon is seen looking to the light before smiling, once again denoting his ability to sense things. It's hard to tell what exactly he knows, but he is certainly more aware than his friends. At this point in the video, we see the members on their bikes again. It would be easy to assume that this occurs after the members leave the abandoned shop we just saw them in, but I think that's misleading. Look at the details in the scene. Remember the shop the members entered earlier? The one with the dispenser machine out front and stickers on its front window. Well, it's blocked by a fire hydrant and all these cars. This is the street adjacent to Anshin's condo, but the scene looks different. The most obvious difference is the appearance of several vintage-style cars. This scene is reminiscent of the one we watched earlier of the boys biking in the rain, but it's not quite the same. And why would the boys be seen coming from Anshin's condo again if they already came from there? If they were leaving the shop, we would see them leaving the shop door. Yet, they're coming from the opposite direction. The only logical explanation would be that this is happening in a different timeline than the scene we saw earlier. As I mentioned, there are mirroring events in the timelines, and so this must be in the past. It is a past version of the scene. Another indicator that this is not the same scene we saw earlier is the fact that the members are not wearing their jackets. In the present, they were, but here, they aren't. This is where I believe the MV transitions into the past. Up until this point, we were in the present, yet here are mirroring events from the past, and from now on, the events take place in 2009. So, let's break that down. The MV starts with Anshin watching the news. He then goes outside to meet the other members. They get caught in the rain while biking and take cover in an abandoned shop with racks of clothing, skateboards, and old TVs. This is happening in the present timeline. In the past timeline, in contrast, Anshin watches the news and goes outside to meet his friends. When they get caught up in the rain, the members continue to bike down the street and go to a laundromat to wash their soaked clothes. See how the events in each timeline differ based on the choices the members made. This is why we see the ALD1 members in the laundromat, a laundromat that doesn't exist in the present day or the members did not visit in the present day. Other indicators that this is all happening in the past timeline include the phone Adeno, Sanghyun, and Junsa are using, which would most likely be the iPhone 3G dated around 2007, and the iPod Nano 3G Sangwon and Leo are using dated at around 2007 as well. Note the tape wrapped around the earphone cord that says always. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel more confident about my theory that the members are paired after watching the OMG music video. This is because we see present-day Anshin watching Leo on the TV in his condo, and past timeline Shinlong watching Junsa on the TV in the laundromat. Like what I suggested earlier, the TVs could act as a window into the other timeline, a point of connection between the two. The rest of the MV is a bit more ambiguous than the first half. Newscaster Junsa reports that the skies changed dramatically, echoing what weatherman Leo said earlier. It is at this point that I want to take a short detour to discuss the teaser website for the comeback. Leading up to the release of No School Tomorrow, concept photos, comeback schedules, and teasers were released on a website specifically dedicated to OMG. As you can see here, the website is very on theme. There are illustrations of cats in the rain, or skateboarding, or in a laundromat. But the part of the website that is most useful to us theorists are the concept photos. Vi and I had discussed some of the pictures, looking for any hidden clues that could give us some necessary context. And we certainly found some interesting clues in the posters in the laundromat and abandoned skateboard shop. On the wall of the laundromat reads a poster that says, quote, "Government imposed climate change levy. In order to pay the levy on gas and electricity, we are obliged to reduce the drying time. Thank you for your cooperation. The management." For all that we have covered so far, the unpredictable weather conditions seen in the OMG music video could certainly be explained by some severe climate changes. If that is the case, then it would make sense for the government and businesses to adhere to a strict climate policy. Vi wondered if perhaps the climate change caused the disaster we know occurs after Section 3, Raw Flame. Are the events we see in OMG what happened before the end of the world? Are the severe natural disasters we see in 1, No Flame, and 2, No Frame, a result of a climate crisis? And what we see in OMG is a precursor to that? In the teaser short for OMG, only Anshin's weather report mentions rain. Quote, "Today's weather report. It's raining today. Everyone on the street is moving in a hurry. I could hear raindrops falling on the window. I was sitting in my room listening to it, but it feels like time is slowing down. I think I want to rest at home while looking on my phone in this weather. Rainy days are a little annoying, but sometimes a quiet day like this isn't a bad thing." This has been ALD1 News' Anshin. It is at this point that I solidified my theory, or my personal theory, as to what Anshin's ability is. He has the power of premonition. Let me explain. Remember Anshin's hidden cuts we saw earlier? In that, he is the only member that is not in a school-like setting. In fact, he is on a beach, and on a mattress no less. Almost like he had washed ashore while sleeping. How strange. The entire situation is dreamlike in its nonsensical nature. This relates to what Anshin says about dreaming of a stormy sea. But Anshin's not the only member to have been on a beach. The other member was Leo, in 2, No Frame, where he can be seen running across the beach. That's not the only thing that makes this pairing stand out. As we discussed previously, both have been shown to break the fourth wall, implying a sense of higher awareness of their situation that sets them apart from the others. This strange sense of supernatural awareness or premonition can even be seen in OMG. See, I tied it back somehow. In the scene at the skate park, Anshin seems to sense that Sanghyun will fall before he actually does. He was able to predict it. That's why he reacted in shock before Sanghyun even fell to the ground. In these scenes, notice how Anshin is the only one wearing his jacket. Earlier, we established that the members are wearing their jackets in the present-day timeline and not wearing their jackets in the past timeline. But even then, Anshin is the exception. It's almost as if he could sense that it would rain on them, that he need his jacket soon to keep him warm, even though it was sunny a few minutes ago. Interesting. It's difficult to say if this confirms that Anshin knew all along about the calamity that leads to the end of the world. Yet, I think it's safe to say that Anshin has an ability that the other members lack. He can sense things before they even happen. Whether this is because he has access to the past timeline is up in the air, but is significant regardless. Now, this is the part of the music video that is the most confusing to pinpoint on our timeline diagram, so I kinda gave up. The members are seen running with pigeons, splashing in a parking lot, biking with cherry blossom petals falling around them, and playing with fireworks on an empty road. These scenes are utterly dreamlike, similar to the scenes during the bridge in Freak Alarm. It's hard to draw the line between real and make-believe. Is this what's actually happening in the past, or is this what Anshin is envisioning? But then there's this bombshell of a scene. The members are seen fighting in the rain. In particular, Sangwon and Leo are seen grabbing each other, with the other members trying to separate them. Here again, you can see that Anshin is the only one wearing his jacket. That would make me think that this takes place in the past timeline, but it doesn't make sense that the members would go to a laundromat to dry their clothes, only to fight in the rain, getting soaked in the process. And what's even more bizarre is that the members are seen running in fog as lightning strikes, and guess what? They're wearing their jackets. So does this happen in the past or in the present? I pitched to Vi that there might not just be two timelines. There might also be an alternate dimension. In my last lore video, I mentioned the idea of euphoria being a physical destination, not just a feeling. Thus, the road to euphoria is not just a metaphor, but also a real journey through space and time. Expanding on that, I wonder if the two timelines are connected through a kind of liminal space dimension. What I would like to think is Star Road. It represents the act of time travel. So, going back to these idyllic moments, I wonder if these are not real, but simply set in an alternative dimension that mimics that of our own, acting as a metaphysical mirror of what is going on in reality. Okay, that's a lot of jargon. What I'm saying is, what if the members never did go skateboarding after visiting the laundromat? What if the members who visited the laundromat were transported to this alternate dimension, to Star Road? Or maybe, in the chaos seen here, with lightning striking, the members were scattered over space and time, as I previously hypothesized. When I saw the fight between the members, I thought of the idea of pathetic fallacy, or a literary device in which human emotions or traits are attributed to nature or inanimate objects. It is primarily used to set a story's mood or reflect a character's internal feelings through the surrounding environments, such as a dark, stormy night mirroring a character's anger. If the climate changes are meant to reflect the tumultuous nature of the friendship between the members, is it possible that their fight caused the natural disaster we see in the film by Raw Flame? We cannot answer that now, but it certainly leaves us with a lot to think about. In this video, I did my best to explain my own thoughts on the comeback and its lore implications. However, there is still so much left unanswered, and I'm sure that I missed something. In some ways, I have more questions than I have answers, and my theories have gotten much more complex. Who knew that I'd be putting my knowledge of physics and philosophy to good use? Again, special thanks to Vi for helping me with this video, and thank you for watching. I'd love to know all of your thoughts, so please share them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye! Mwah.